Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. And today's topic, for those of you that don't know, is going to be about diabetes. And so I have this business, and it is associated with diabetes. But what I want to do, hopefully, the value that I want to add today is that everyone in here will take diabetes much, much, much more seriously. So it is a serious disease, and you guys are a fun group of guys, and I'll tell you, it's really been nice coming in here because everyone's been just very friendly and very welcoming, and I think that Sarah Green Card joke, though, deserves about $5 in that pot. I don't know. What do you think? There you go. Anyway, so we'll just get right into it. First thing, there's a lot of, there's type 1 and type 2 are the major types of diabetes. And type 1 was, used to be known as gestational, or not just, no, juvenile onset diabetes. And that affects about 5 to 10% of the known diabetes diagnosis. And the type 2, which is the much more prevalent, it's 90 to 95% of the diabetes diagnosis. So basically, it's still a mystery how you get diabetes, but basically your pancreas is supposed to produce a hormone, insulin, and it's supposed to regulate your blood sugar. And what happens in folks with diabetes is that the insulin is really not effective in terms of regulating your diabetes. And so then you end up with, taking medication, insulin, and there's a lot of other complications that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But I just wanted to go through a couple of the others. I started to mention gestational diabetes. That's a very small percentage. But those of you in here, I know, have lots of family members that, I'm sure you've got kids, grandkids, and maybe a few of y'all have some great-grandkids. And so this message is not only for you, but for your families and the people that you know. And pregnant women that have gestational diabetes are more likely to get diabetes later in their life. So it's, again, something to get very, very serious about. Percentage-wise, I've given you those percentages, but right now, and we just have new numbers released by the CDC and American Diabetes Association, and approximately 23 million people in America have diabetes. That's a lot of folks, it is, and there are 18 million that know about it, but about 5 million that don't. Okay, so there's a lot but the good news is in that 5 million that don't, that's down from the 2 years prior statistics. So the word is getting out, more people are learning about it. But here's really the worst piece of information. 57 million people have pre-diabetes, which means they don't have a diagnosis of diabetes yet, but they probably will within the next couple of years unless they take some action. Some of the warning signs and symptoms that I want to talk to you about, really, there are several. Some of them, for a lot of folks, you start losing the feeling in your feet and your lower limbs. Your eyesight might be blurry and then clear up again. It's not just using your, like where I need to see, to read. It's not that. It's really about being able to, when your vision goes in and out, you might be very fatigued. I just met a young gentleman actually just last Thursday evening at the Pooler Chamber of Commerce, and he was actually about Tim's size and about Tim's just everything. And he went to the doctor. He had been having some soreness, and he was just tired all the time. And and this was in 2004, and it took 5 doctors to figure out that he had diabetes. So it had nothing to do with necessarily being overweight. Which is what, almost everybody thinks. If you're overweight, then surely you're going to have diabetes, and that's not necessarily true. Okay. In this room right here, the statistics say that 1 out of every 4 of you is diabetic. And that is just, and what happens there if you are diabetic, if you have high blood pressure, or if you have heart disease, or if you have kidney disease, or if you have, if your eyesight is affected, if you have diabetes, then what's going to happen is those those things are going to be worse because you have diabetes. And there's a way to control diabetes. And again, I know you guys have heard about it because you've probably been to your doctors and they're all telling you exactly what to do. But I'm just here to tell you that it's like the biggest thing about diabetes is it complicates things so much more. And you know, I've seen a few dollars running around here, so everybody's we've got some money activity going on here. And what I'm going to do is read you a statistic. Again, these are just recent numbers. It says, having diabetes not only plunges your health, but your pocketbook too. People diagnosed diabetic incur an average medical expense of $11,744 per year, almost 2.5 times higher than those who do not. So for no other reason, get your diabetes under control and then do everything you can to avoid getting diabetes. You know, I like to have fun too, but this is just such a serious conversation. That's the reason at our clinic, we take care of our people, and that's what we do. And we love taking care of them, and we laugh, and we do all that. But the whole thing, and we go out and raise money as a group, we do that as well. But everyone in the biggest picture thinks diabetes is just, it's like having a cold. Well, you're going to be okay. You just don't take it seriously. And I don't, I'm sure there are some of you in here that are taking it very, very, very seriously. But if you don't know if you haven't been tested for blood sugar, let me just ask, just show of hands who has recently had their blood sugar tested. Okay, there's enough folks in here that have not. If nothing else, make sure that you go to a health fair or go to your doctor and say you want to get your blood sugar tested. And the health fair is the easiest place to do it. You can get your blood pressure checked, because I'm thinking, let's just do how many people have recently had their blood pressure checked? A lot more people in the room, and that's not surprising because, again, American Heart Disease has done a phenomenal job of saying, you need to keep an eye on it, and there's lots of blood pressure medication out there and all of that. But American Diabetes Association is working very hard because we believe we haven't done the best job of going out and getting the message across how serious this disease is, because it's just something you can live with. Well, it's going to cost you a whole lot more money, and you're going to probably have a greater chance. If you have heart disease, you're going to have the complications of diabetes is just going to make it worse.